In this video, I'm going to show you how I did my version of the destroyed star map from Ahsoka. After hollowing out the solid version of this map, I printed it in resin and then painted it with a rattle can in gold. I masked off some of the details with liquid latex before painting and stippling with a black acrylic paint. This file I got off of Etsy. I'll link in the description where I got it from. I chose it based on the detail of the map that the person did. They did such an awesome job. After stippling, I let it dry for 24 hours and then I peeled off all of the liquid latex that I had put into the different detailed areas that I was trying to maintain. I sanded it by hand with 200 grit sandpaper, removing most of the black and dulling the gold finish to the point at some areas I even went all the way down to the resin print. Then I just took a damp microfiber cloth dampened with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and I cleaned the print up. I realized it doesn't have a nice square edge, so I grabbed my rotary tool and started to destroy the edge based on the area where I cut it. This step could have been done before painting, but that's when I did it. To do the guts, I didn't want to just throw a bunch of gears into it and glue them together, so I printed up this little piece here that I modeled in SolidWorks. The center section is as close as I could tell from the picture at the beginning of my video, where Ahsoka is actually holding the destroyed map. So I printed it up, glued it in place, painted it, and then I started to use foam clay to fill in the void behind it. The foam clay worked out really well because it held the gears in place, and it also, if it showed through anywhere, it just looked like a melted part or melted piece of the actual map. For the gears, it's a mix of gears from a mini camcorder that I took apart recently, and gears that I printed out of SolidWorks that came from the SolidWorks toolbox. If you've never used SolidWorks before, there is a toolbox where you can go in and find nuts, bolts, gears, sprockets, and other tools that you can use to build out your model. I just grabbed a few gears and sprockets and sized them up to fit into what I'm trying to do here. Now I'm just randomly placing pieces, trying to make it look like some of it lines up and some of it doesn't. It was kind of fun to do this and kind of nerve-wracking at the same time, because if something didn't line up, I wasn't sure how well it was going to look once it was painted. Here's a piece that came out of that camcorder. I think if I would have just used the gears that I printed, it wouldn't have looked as good. I think having some real parts that came out of something I destroyed definitely helped with the look. I used the image for reference for some of this, but more just to get an idea of like which direction the gears should be pointing rather than trying to make it as exact as possible. Someone will eventually make a more exact replica, and I look forward to seeing what they do when they do that. And once I was happy with how many guts I got in this thing, I taped it off and took it outside to kind of paint the inside. Being most of my gears were just resin printed, it wasn't going to look good the way it was right there. So I take it outside and I come back, and here I've painted it with basically a splattering of aluminum, gold, and black, just using rattle can. And then I take my watered down acrylic and I just start to do a black wash over everything. I think it took a couple of washes and just patience to get it to where I was happy. And here is the finished product, both the left and the right. They both use the same middle piece and then just a different configuration of how I put the gears inside and what pieces I used. I think it came out really good. I'm happy with it. I even started to make a little display stand for it to sit on that looks charred. That'll show both the left and the right, each with their own little standoff that they sit on. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks for watching if you've made it this far in the video, and I look forward to making the next one.